to our education update. I'm Bev Priest, Head of Payroll at EPM, and along with my colleague Claire Radbone, we'll be providing your school or trust with the key updates and considerations that surround payroll and pensions. During this session, we'll be looking at the extension to the Coronavirus Job Retention Scheme, off-payroll working, rates and threshold changes, plus the McCloud Judgement. Remember, to accompany this update, we have also produced an action checklist. Please download a copy of this as it is intended as a helpful guide for senior employees to allow you to easily identify the actions and key priorities that you should consider to help prepare for the summer term. To kick off this session, I'm going to look at the Coronavirus Job Retention Scheme. Now, this began in March 2020 and was due to finish at the end of April of the same year. However, a further extension until the end of September 2021 was confirmed by the Chancellor of the Exchequer during the budget held on the 3rd of March this year. So, what does this mean for you? Well, if you have staff on furlough, you will need to continue to pay those employees at least 80% of their usual wages until the scheme ends. But you can, if you wish, top up wages above the 80%, although you are not required to do so. The UK Government will pay 80% of employees' usual wages for hours not worked, up to a cap of £2,500 per month until the end of June 2021. After this point, employers will gradually pay more. In July, the Government will pay 70% with a cap of £2,187 and the employer will need to contribute 10%. Then in August and September, the Government will pay 60% and the employer will be required to contribute 20%. Eligibility criteria will change for furlough periods from the 1st of May onwards. You will be able to claim for eligible employees who were employed by you on the 2nd of March 2021 and who have been included on the real-time information submission to HMRC between 20th of March 2020 and the 2nd of March 2021. Now, you do not need to have previously benefited from the scheme to make a claim if the above criteria are met. Claims must be made by the 15th of the following month, so if you furlough in March, you have until the 15th of April to make your claim. To understand the latest implications of the coronavirus for schools and multi-academy trusts, you can read our coronavirus FAQs, which in a rapidly changing environment are updated regularly when new measures are announced to cover pay, entitlement, sickness, absence, plus much more. Now we move on to the off-payroll working rules. These are sometimes referred to as IR35 and have been in force for the public sector since April 2017. But from the 6th of April 2021, changes that were delayed due to the coronavirus pandemic come into effect. As a public sector client, the rules must continue to be applied, but there are extra responsibilities, including communicating the deemed employment status and responding to disagreements within a specified time limit. To check whether the rules apply, on or before the date any contract is entered into, you can use the HMRC Check Employment Status tool, which is available on the Gov.uk website to assist in determining the employment status. You must then notify the worker of the determination using a status determination statement, which must include the resulting employment status and the reasons for coming to this decision. If the determination identifies that off-payroll working rules apply, there is a requirement to make deductions for income tax and national insurance, pay employers' national insurance contributions, apply the apprenticeship levy, and report to HMRC indicating that the worker is an off-payroll worker. As a deemed employee, no pension deductions will be due, and student loan payments will be calculated and deducted from an individual's self-assessment return based on their total income. If you face a situation where a worker disagrees with the determination, you should consider the reasons given and decide whether to maintain it or provide a new determination. A response must be provided within 45 days of receipt. You can find more information in our off-payroll working IR35 advice note. We'll now move on to rates and threshold changes. Claire, I'll hand over to you.
Thanks, Bev. Hello, I'm Claire Radbone, Pensions Manager EPM, and I'll be providing your school or trust with the key updates and considerations surrounding pensions. In particular, during this session, I'll be discussing statutory rate changes and provide an update on the McCloud Judgement. There are several statutory rate and threshold changes which are being amended from April 21 to be aware of. Rather than go through all of these in detail individually, we've highlighted a few on this slide for you. You can find more detailed information in our Payroll and Pension Bulletin, which will be issued shortly. There are new national minimum and living wage rates that apply to pay reference periods beginning on or after the 1st of April 2021. It is worth noting that the NLW rate applies to those who are 23 years old, which has been reduced from 25. Those on furlough are only entitled to the minimum wage for hours they work. If they are furloughed and do not work and 80% of their normal earnings would take them below the minimum wage based on their normal working hours, they are still only receive 80%. The standard tax code for most people, i.e. those who have one job or pension from the 6th of April 2021 is confirmed as 1257L. This entitles them to the standard tax-free personal allowance for tax year 21 to 22 of £12,570 and is relevant to the whole of the UK. It was confirmed in the March budget that this threshold will remain at this level until 2026. For those employees who do not have a Form P45 when they start work, there is an updated version of the starter checklist now available from gov.uk. The version number to use from 6th of April 21 is HMRC 02/21, as this has been updated to include information which relates to a new Scottish student loan plan. Statutory maternity pay, paternity, adoption, shared parental leave, statutory parental bereavement pay have all been updated as well. On the 4th of April 21, the weekly rate for those who qualify will be £151.97, or 90% of the employee's average weekly earnings if lower. Statutory pay for furloughed workers taking family-related leave should be calculated on usual earnings rather than furlough pay if the period of leave began on or after the 25th of April 2020. For both local government and teachers' pension schemes, there is no change to employee pension contribution rates from the 1st of April, but bands have been increased in line with September's CPI at 0.5%. For the teachers' pension scheme, the employer contribution rate remains at 23.68%. Finally, we move on to the Mcleod Judgement. The Mcleod Judgement upheld the age discrimination of reforms to the public sector pension schemes by the government in 2014 for LGPS and 2015 for TP. The decision to automatically move workers below a certain age to a new scheme whilst those closer to retirement were given transitional protection gave rise to unlawful direct age discrimination, as the protection favoured older members of the scheme. The government launched a consultation to consider the best way to address the discrimination, the two options being an immediate choice, where members would make a choice now as to which scheme they wanted to be members of for the period from 2015 to 2022, because the 1st of April 2015 is the date when the reforms were introduced, and the end of March 2022 will be the point at which the legacy schemes will be closed for future accrual. Or a deferred choice underpin, where members would stay in their legacy scheme but could opt at retirement for the alternative scheme if this would produce a larger pension. The government confirmed that changes are to be made to all the main public service pension schemes, including the local government pension schemes, LGPS, and teachers' pension scheme, TP, to remove the unlawful age discrimination identified in the McCloud ruling. Our article, called Pension Scheme Changes, published in our March edition of Education Insights, our monthly magazine, provided confirmation that the discrimination would be addressed via Deferred Choice Underpin, DCU. The government proposing to provide eligible younger members with a protection equal to the protection provided to older members when the schemes were changed. The impact on school budgets is not yet known, although the Treasury says those costs will feed into employer contribution rates, meaning pension costs for public sector employers are almost certainly going to go up. An update on the 2016 and 2020 valuations has been published on gov.uk. The cost control element of the 2016 valuations will now be completed using the deferred choice underpin to establish the way in which McCloud remedy will be taken into account for relevant schemes. There will not be reductions to member benefits as a result of completing the 2016 valuations. Therefore, the impact of any ceiling breaches that occur will be waived, while any floor breaches will still be honoured, with effect from the 1st of April 2019. Changes to the employer contribution rates for most unfunded public service pension schemes following the 2020 valuations will not take effect until 2024. The TP scheme changed in 2015. As an employer, you do not need to do anything. Members can keep up to date by checking the TP website and will be contacted directly by TP once those affected have been identified. The LGPS changed in England in 2014. As a result of the changes confirmed by government in February, each administrating authority may need to collect extra data, such as hours worked and breaks in service. Where necessary, templates with company data will be necessary and notes will be issued in due course. To support with the completion, EPM will make available data in the local government agency agreed format to EPM payroll customers who had a contract at any time from the date the LGPS changed in England from April 2014. Update on the 2016 and 2020 valuations can be found at the gov.uk website. If you have any questions about any of the topics raised, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us, or alternatively you can raise any queries at our next live Q&A session on the 20th of April. Thank you all for watching.